So, welcome to Season 1, Episode 1 of Nightmare Tenants, featuring Caitlin Poore of Atrium Health and her partner, Kathleen Kennedy of DHL Logistics. So, my husband and I, we have a rental property, and it's the home that we brought our kids home in from the hospital, and it's the house that we had planned to actually give to one of our children in the future. Our old tenant of 2 years was moving out, and we actually had a great experience with him. Anytime he had a concern, it was always handled and addressed promptly and professionally by my husband. And ultimately, we still have a good relationship now. So this is where we enter Miss Caitlin and Kathleen. They moved in on Super Bowl Sunday, and were only in the property for a week's time. When they moved in, they were informed that there was some paint touch-ups that needed to be completed in the kitchen just due to the removal of the popcorn ceiling. Ultimately, they were unhappy that this didn't happen in the expected timeline, but did express just how grateful they were for my husband's overall communication, especially because they had apparently had a bad experience with a landlord in the past, which should have been foreshadowing maybe. But once they moved in, they had an extremely nitpicky list of demands in their words. They stated that if we did not meet their demands, that they would be moving out. Some of them were a little bit odd. They sent a message stating that they had clogged the toilet with their own human feces and that we would need to take care of it. And that is their wording. And the wording itself kind of just gave me weird vibes. But regardless, their concerns were addressed. They were told that if they wanted to move out, that we would break their lease. But ultimately they were upset that they weren't going to get their February rent back in spite of the fact that they were living there in part of February. And they said that they would consult with legal counsel and get back to us as to whether or not they were going to remain in the property. They proceeded to use racial slurs, including the N-word, at my husband. So ultimately, he had a bad feeling about the tenants, and he stated that he was going to go out there and just do an inspection on Friday to make sure that everything was the way that it was supposed to be. So he went out on Friday, everything was in place, and fast forward to Monday, we get a call from the neighboring unit. We have a great relationship with all of our former neighbors. So they gave us a call, and they informed us that there was water damage in their home that was apparently coming from our unit. So then 2 minutes later, I get a call from my other neighbor. She's not in the neighboring unit, but she gave me a call, and she said that there's something going on at our house. There's water all in the street. She said she thought it was because it was raining, but she noticed that it was coming from all around our property. And so I asked her if our tenants were still there. She said that they left on Saturday morning. She said that a moving truck woke her up, and she said that they had a crew of 20 people, and they were basically hustling to get out of there quick, and so she knew something was going on. So we get in the car and we head to our old rental property, which is about an hour and a half away from where we live, and we get a call from the HOA, and they told us that they suspected that there was foul play. So as we're pulling up to the property, we see water just covering the parking lot. There's water on the outside of our house, water surrounding the property, coming out of the side paneling. The fire alarm is going off. We open the door and there is water everywhere. The entire first and second level is completely covered with water. It's seeping through everything, and basically the ceiling is caving in. So the fire department had to come to shut the alarm off, and they pointed out where Caitlin and Kathleen had actually unscrewed the toilet and damaged the pipe to where they could tell that it was intentionally done. We saw where both of the pipes on both toilets were destroyed, and the water was turned on, so basically it would run and flood the place. So they completely destroyed our home to the point where it is uninhabitable. And not only that, but the neighbor's home is now destroyed. And, me personally, I'm not understanding how anyone could do this to someone's home, especially when my husband was nothing but accommodating and professional with them. And it really honestly just takes it a step further when Caitlin, who works for Atrium as a PA on emergency, would think it was a good idea to create a safety hazard and a fire hazard in a unit attached to other homes where there are children and elderly people living literally next door. And then following the incident, when we called them regarding the flood, they stated that they were not going to talk about it and that they just wanted to return their keys back. So obviously, audacity is running at an all-time high on this Tuesday, and it's in moments like these when I'm reminded that while God is real, demons are too, because this is nothing but demonic behavior to intentionally vandalize someone's home to the point where we can no longer enter the property, let alone have somebody live there. All of the time and the money and the investment is, gone and wasted. This was truly an act of pure evil, and, these two people really need to be held accountable for their actions. And it's truly a shame that anyone could really do something like this. On our end, we have filed a police report. We have contacted their employers. We'll continue to keep you updated as we document the progression of all of this. We've, of course, contacted our lawyers. It's an unfortunate and an unnecessary situation. And while it's a huge hit, we're just trusting in God and remaining positive. And we just ask for your continued prayers during this time. But ultimately, we know that everything will work out for the better. So I hope that your Tuesday is happier than ours is. But that's it for season 1, episode 1. Catch y'all on episode 2.
Thanks for pulling up to my channel again. That one viewer that's always checking whatever I did. Thank you very much. 1, 2, 3 viewers that's always checking in. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. Anyway, let's get into the video. So this video actually, it's about these two idiots. I know the woman called them racists, and shit. But I think they're just foolish set of girls. It's just a typical, high school, low IQ kind of girls, Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of racist intention to whatever they did, in that apartment. I think they're just stupid, It happens here in Europe too. Like a lot of people is just foolish. They just, rent people's properties and just damage it. I don't know how you do that. If you rent people's property while you're damaging people's property. So that woman said, you saw the video, the whole place was drained up, with water. How do you do? That's just very bad. How do you even have the courage or the nerves or, to damage people's property? Like, don't you have a common sense that you might go to jail for that shit? Do you need people to tell you might go to jail for that shit? Like, you damaged the whole property. The whole thing was leaking. It was water everywhere. It means they're going to need a little bit of renovation going on there. And they think they're going to get away with that? How can people be that foolish to think you're going to do something that big and you're going to get away with it? These girls are probably going to pay tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars. How do you I don't get it. Like, how do people just, wake up and decide to just ruin their whole life by themselves? Because these little girls, obviously, they're not walking in millions. So if these people sue them and they take it to court, and now you have to pay settlements for damage of property or you go to jail, you just ruined your whole life by yourself. Either way, whether you go to court or you have to pay, you've fucked anyway. You fucked anyway because these girls are not rolling in millions. How are they going to pay? Now you got to keep paying instrumentally for the rest of your life over stupid shit like racism or just being dumb. Or you go to jail for that, which is like, minimum 4 years, 5 years, I don't know. This is just pure stupidity. I know she called it racism, but I think it's just pure stupidity. That's just being dumb. Destroying people's property is the last thing I want to do because I don't want people destroying my property if I have one eventually. So why the hell will I want to destroy people's property? I'm just going to manage it. Of course, if you live in an apartment or you rent an apartment, there's going to be some damages here and there, maybe some pipes problem or some cabinets problem or some, gas problem. But you leaving the water open, flooding the whole apartment, that's just a different level of stupidity because especially in this modern age right now where there's inflation and shit, it's going to cost them millions to renovate that shit. It's going to cost them maybe not millions, maybe thousands of dollars to renovate that shit. And yet they're still going to sue you for emotional stress and all this shit. So you got problems. I don't want to bring race into the shit because I know some white people, some black people do it too, Indian people do it, Jamaican do this shit. In every race or culture or whatever, there's always that stupid set of people, that makes every other people look bad. And it's in every race. This ain't about black, whites, whatever. It's just in every race. There's always that stupid set of people that make that race look bad. It's in the black community, it's in the white community, it's in the Indian, whatever, Arabs. There's always this subsection of people that just makes everyone look stupid. And these girls are part of those people now. Because whether you like that person, maybe whether the person is a black person or not, why you rent if you know you're a racist, let's assume they're racist. Why are you renting property from a black person? If I don't like white people, pause, because I do like white people. I like every race. I don't give a shit. But let's assume I don't like white people. Why the hell will I rent property from them? Why will I rent their apartment? Once I walk in, I see it's white, I'm going out of that place. But you purposefully rent an apartment from a black owner, then damage the property. Now you gotta pay. Because you're not going scot free. That ain't gonna happen. I like when people are racist. If you're racist and you avoid that race, okay, cool. That's just your preference. As long as you don't hurt that people, then we're cool. You can't like everybody. But I don't like when you don't like a particular race, then you damage their property because you don't like that race, or you intentionally hurt them because you don't like that race. That's where I draw the line. Like, yo, you don't have to do nothing with them. You don't have to be damaging their property. You don't have to be hurting them just because, you don't like the race. And now in this situation, yet you really damage the property and you probably hurt this couple, but you hurt yourself too because now you're going to pay. You're not escaping that shit. Because I'm sure these people got cameras in their home. I'm sure these people got securities in their home. And it shows, I'm so sure the neighbor liked them because the neighbor called. Because if the neighbor don't give a fuck about them, they ain't going to call them. The neighbor called them, so it means the neighbor definitely liked them. And they've seen probably your in and out and shit. When you were running away and shit, they saw everything. So how you going to defend this in court? I just want to see how they're going to defend themselves because they're not getting out of this shit. They're not getting out of this shit. It's just mad. If it's really racism, then it's just crazy. At 2025, people are still racist. That shit is getting boring at this point. It used to be like, okay, yeah, you're racist, cool, whatever. But at 2025, it's just getting boring at this point. It's not interesting anymore. We get it. You don't like black people, okay, cool. It's when you damaging property, now you go too far. That's people's, hard-earned money. These are people's sweat. Well, anyways, like I said, it's always the dumb people. It's always the stupid ones that make the race look bad. Now people are gonna blame white people for everything. You can't blame white people for everything. These ones are just dumb. That's it. Just like you can't blame black people for some certain stupid shit some certain set of people do. You know? They're just a subsection of dumb people,